Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out a video titled Things Americans Get Wrong About Europe. I think Americans get a lot of things wrong about Europe. In general, I think so. I personally know I have been a victim of, wrong regarding Europe. So we're going to get right into this video. If you guys have any recommendations, leave those in the comment section down below. We can talk about this video and, let's see what this video has for us about what Americans typically get wrong about Europe. I'd imagine maybe language. I really don't know what they might have in this video. I can't off the rip just, try to predict it because I'm probably going to be wrong. But yeah, we're going to get right into this video. Thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's get right into this video.
Europe.
Kom til Birmingham! Kom til for perkele sieltä!
Long held as a land of culture, etiquette, sophistication, elegance, free healthcare, and pretentious intellectual snobs whose lungs are more full of their own farts than the
Pretentious intellectual snobs.
average 13-year-olds are of questionable fruit-flavored cancer fumes from bright-colored Chinese sticks. For the longest time, Europe has been held by many Americans as this vastly superior promised land and an example to
That's what I would have said in the intro of this video. I feel as if Americans hold Europe as I never understand when people say Americans, don't see Europe as a special place, because that's where you vacate. So if you vacate there, you see that place as special. So, you know what I mean? Like, if you spend vacation somewhere, it means you actually like that place. You can't hate somewhere that you vacation.
Republicans on how to run social policies.
Oh.
And me, as a pretentious, fart-sniffing European myself, I'm here to tell you, my dear American friend, that you are wrong, as Europe is much more different than what many over the seas will lead you to believe. So here's a video on all the things Americans get wrong about Europe.
Okay.
One of the biggest arguments I hear about Europe being propagated by smug Europeans with an EU flag as their profile picture on Twitter, or American leftists that gag at the mere mentioning of the word America, is that Europe is super walkable and a wonderland that made the car obsolete, and we all live in a car-free utopia and happily ride the super cheap and affordable and plentiful public transportation.
Does the American children really have to wake up at 6:30 for school in day? Here in Sweden, the children are I saw me walking at 11:07 early to the classroom.
And let me tell you something. That is not really the case. To be fair, Europe certainly is more walkable and less car-friendly than America. And
right.
Europeans absolutely have more public transportation options and utilize public transport more than Americans. There's no arguing with that. However, many European states, Western and Eastern alike, still rely on using cars quite frequently. Many European cities are quite large and densely populated. As a result, using public transportation becomes quite uncomfortable as there are so many people packed together. Thus, many opt out to purchase a car and use it to get around the city.
Hey Mercedes!
So, many renowned European cities.
Where the hell did he get that video from? But yeah, I can definitely understand that because I've said to you guys that I'm in Finland right now. I live in Finland. And when I visited the southern, hype capital, the Helsinki area, I was actually shocked at how much people I saw, right? Obviously, I've seen plenty more people compared to that, right? But it was still a lot of people compared to the other parts of Finland. So yeah, I can definitely see how you would actually want your own vehicle because of public transportation being so stuffed. I can see that. But yeah, at least you still have it.
Such as London, Paris, Rome, Athens, and Istanbul, and anywhere else you can think of that has a population of over 1 million, hell, even 500,000, are renowned for having horrendous and congested traffic. Another issue is that if you happen to live in a smaller town or even in a more rural settlement and need to go between cities, your options for public transport get quite limited. As a result, many Europeans still rely on a car as their main.
That's actually true because I live in northern Finland, and the only transportation that can take me down to just about 2 hours to the next city, I guess. I don't know what to call it, but to the next city is literally a freaking bus that is not consistent in it is consistent, but it's not the hours are not the most flexible, you know what I mean? So you gotta be like 2 hours early taking that bus. In terms of, if you take that bus right now, you're gonna arrive to where you're trying to get at 2 hours before the time. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, you gotta actually drive sometimes when you live in rural areas like that, for real. That I totally agree with that because I've experienced it.
Mode of transport. This is more of a case in Eastern and Central Europe, but still very much alive in the West as well. And just because there is public transportation doesn't necessarily mean it's cheap. Using public transportation within cities in Germany and Finland can cost up to €3 for a ticket, and if you don't book your ticket for the train in Spain or Italy in time,
€3 is not bad, but it depends on the journey, not the journey, but the distance being covered. So I can't speak on it. You didn't cover the distance, so yeah.
the cost can add up. And taking a train cross-country almost anywhere can easily be over €50 and above. It's certainly better than in America, but it certainly is no transportation utopia.
Jestem chirurgiem. Jestem chirurgiem.
One of the more annoying aspects of American politics is this insistence on the American far left that America should be like Europe and utilize free healthcare. First of all, our healthcare isn't free. Europeans, no matter the country we live in, have substantially larger taxes than those in America. A lot of this taxation goes into funding our healthcare. Unlike in America, more often than not, you pay the same tax percentage no matter your income. Thus, in many ways, European taxes are regressive compared to the American tax system. To be fair, you certainly do pay less than in America regarding your healthcare. However, a lot of times our systems are quite inefficient. A lot of times, to get any serious surgery or procedure done, you will have to wait a decent amount of time on a waiting list to get it done. The UK's NHS is one of the most nefarious examples of this inefficiency, and throughout Eastern and Central Europe the situation isn't that far off. The only time that you'll get priority is if you have been already diagnosed and are in a serious trouble. However, to get the diagnosis in the first place can take some time to see a specialist because there's a huge waiting queue. As a result, many opt to use private healthcare and private insurance because of this. Although the additional safety net is appreciated here, it often becomes quite a burden because of its inefficiency and hit on your wallet due to the high tax.
Yeah, it's for me, I'm always going to, like, it's always going to be hard talking about this topic because, like, I'm always going to say, you know, healthcare should have a limit, you know, in terms of expenses, because, you know, with Europe, you guys actually, a lot of people don't talk about this, but there's a limit. The private places cannot charge over a certain amount. You can charge this, you can charge that, but you can't charge over a certain amount, right? So the market is not like a, oh, let's get rich quick type market, right, in Europe, but in the United States, you'll find people doing that because they're like, oh, I can charge this. I'm in California. Okay, this is California. You got to pay us about $1,000 just to get whatever, something that is really cheap that could literally cost you like 200, right? So stuff like that should be the case, but at the end of the day, I do get what this guy is saying, you know, regarding the wait time and you using private healthcare. I do get that, but I do still think that having a form of public healthcare, you know, is good, even if it's limited. But there's some form where you can actually get a basic checkup, a blood test, you know, something small, nothing that is, you know, psycho, like, you know, yeah, I really, this is a complicated topic. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below.
Rates. And unlike in America, you can opt out of paying government healthcare. Whether you use it or not, you're stuck paying these ridiculously high tax rates even if you switch to private healthcare. Another thing that Europeans love to gloat about is how they are healthier than those fat American slobs They tried mobility scooters through Walmart to get their government unregulated GMO-enhanced cheese from a can. And to be fair, there is some truth to this. Maybe not even some, but a lot. Europe has certainly better food regulation, they have more walkable cities, and the governments encourage more healthy activities in the youth. However, on average, 53% of EU citizens are overweight, as their BMI is over 25. In particular, 54% of Germany's population is overweight, 60% of Hungary's, 60% of Czechia's, 65% of Croatia's, 56% of Portugal's, and 58% of
Wow.
Greece's. Again, not as bad as the US, but certainly not the flex many think it is. Although on average Europeans still have a smaller obesity rate than Americans, Europeans smoke and consume way more alcohol and caffeine than the average American. It is not uncommon for teenagers to start smoking young, not just in Eastern Europe but Western as well, and for them to also start drinking early and go bar hopping. So yes, Europeans are technically more healthy than Americans, but you give some, you take some.
I mean, obviously smoking, drinking is not good for you, but I think based off the eye test, I think that's what a lot of Europeans look at when they say Americans are fat and obese. But the truth is that I think a lot of people are indeed overweight, right? The height doesn't match the weight, right? They don't look it, but they're not. Like right now, I am not overweight or underweight, right? But if I start to work out and I put on some more muscles, I'm overweight. Simple as that. So overweight is literally that simple. So I still don't really, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, because with Americans, a lot of Americans, you can visibly see that. But for example, me being here in Finland, it's really rare that I see someone who is extremely huge, you know, but I have seen quite a few people who are definitely, you know, visibly overweight in a bad way. So yeah, not that bad though, but I guess.
So this one's a bit more niche, as it's not propagated by that many Americans, but still is here and there by the less educated ones. And that is that Europe is one singular cohesive entity with singular policies, goals, and interests, which simply isn't true. Although the EU has unified us in many ways, Europe is still a continent and not a single country with a central federal government. A lot of countries until quite recently were historical enemies with each other. Today, although that is no longer the case, many still do what's best for their own nation and interests and act independently of the others. What's the law in one country won't necessarily be true in the other. Even in politics, countries must form coalitions and persuade others to push EU laws, and the process is quite slow and bureaucratic. Although we are much more unified than before, we're definitely not unified as much as America. Finally, we have to talk about America's leftists' favorite talking point, and that is that Europe is a far left progressive paradise. And again, to be fair, European states are more akin to the classic welfare state model. However, they are not socialist or super left, the way American politicians such as Bernie Sanders claim. Many European states have extremely business-friendly laws, despite their high taxes. Sanders, when he praised the socialist system of the Scandinavian countries, actually warranted a response from the Danish government, which proclaimed that they are a free market economy and not a socialist one like he claimed. Private enterprise is encouraged, and many hate to be referred to as socialists, especially in Eastern Europe. Although many nations are LGBT friendly, the average European is arguably more socially conservative than your average American, especially concerning trans rights. For example, Ireland technically only legalized divorce in 1996, and Switzerland fully ratified women's suffrage in 1990. Of course, the big cities are extremely progressive, just like any city on the American coast, yet Europeans in general are still more suspicious of immigrants and foreigners than Americans. It is also quite difficult for immigrants.
Exactly. That's facts. That is such a huge facts. Listen, I'm not gonna, bash Europe or Europeans right now, but I've always heard how much hate Donald Trump gets because of the whole immigrants nonsense. But now that I'm in Europe, I see how much Europeans actually hate immigrants. And I'm like, well, damn. But yeah, it's actually a real situation. it's kind of traumatizing sometimes when I see it. I'm like, dang, they really hate immigrants. Like they don't like it at all. Like, but it's not every European. Don't get it twisted now. But yeah, it's really weird, you know. But yeah, it's real life. It's real life.
To be accepted by the population. Assimilation culture in Europe is more lacking than America, and many immigrants whose families have been here for generations are still regarded as outsiders, be it for the factors of their own making or the factors outside of their control. I mean, just ask the average European what he thinks about the gypsies and you'll know what I'm talking about. In conclusion, I love the shit out of just ask the average European what he thinks about the gypsies and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Europeans laughing at Americans for being racist, but then a gypsy walks into the room.
In conclusion, I love the shit out of Europe, and there is a reason I've chosen to make it my home instead of America. But misrepresentation helps no one, and honesty is the best policy. Let me know what you think. What misconceptions about your country/continent bother you? Let me know in the comment section down below. And also,
I appreciate this video because, you know, he wasn't like trying to flag Europe as a bad place. And Europe is a great place. The thing is, you know, Europe and the United States, great places, right? Europe has its bad, America has its bad, you know, and the truth is, like, literally, it's literally that simple. Two great places, and you know, they're gonna have their bads. It's not gonna be perfect. It's not. And it's the same thing that I told you. Like, I've seen things happen in Europe that I never would imagine or thought of that happening in the United States, right? But it does happen, right? So, you know, yeah. And things that would happen in the United States, you'd never imagine them happening in Europe, you know. So it's two wonderful places with their bad and their good. So you just got to take it how it is. If you want to, you know, live in the United States, go ahead. It's a wonderful place. You just won't get certain things that you get in Europe in the United States. And if you want to live in Europe, you're not going to get certain things that you would get in the United States in Europe. They're both wonderful places. And that's just how I look at it, because I look at the buildings in Europe and I'm like, wow, wonderful. I look at the car culture in the United States and I'm like, wow, wonderful. You know, people can actually go out there and actually, you know, strive to get a type of car and, you know, stuff like that, and, you know, have a car culture and shit like that. You know, it's both of them has good and bad. You guys can let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Was this video honest, or is he lying? Is Europe paradise? I'm just playing, because obviously he's not lying. Yeah, Europe has its faults, and likewise the United States has its faults. But yeah, I'm out of here, guys. Thank you for watching. Peace.